The world we live in is a massive place, one that seems to have gotten smaller and smaller due to the rise in technology, making us even more connected to one another than we've ever been before. However, even from the most primitive of technologies we've had, our world is one that can bring out darkness. A pitch-black rabbit hole always opens for us to delve into, to get a mere glimpse at our disturbing world. Welcome to Beyond the Darkness, a new series on this channel for us to take a look at some of the darkest stories from the world around us. We'll be taking a look at those aroused by disease, a mysterious photo posted to Reddit, a missing persons case that is more than meets the eye, and an incredibly disturbing YouTube channel. Without further ado, let's dive in. Kinks and fetishes. These are normal things for people to have, and it is likely that you watching this right now may have some yourself. However, kinks and fetishes can be seen as more and more taboo to someone who may not have the one someone else has or haven't been exposed to them before. From BDSM escalating all the way to stuff like blood play, and even harder and more out there fetishes. Yet what can be seen as the most taboo of fetishes? Of course, there are ones that are highly illegal to act upon, but what about one that isn't, but is quite literally a death sentence for those who partake in it? Enter the world of bug chasing, also known as gift giving. For those who don't know, bug chasing is the fetish of someone who is actively seeking out a partner who has contracted sexual diseases, with the most common being looked for being HIV. Bug chasing is nothing new, of course, and has been a thing for years. Many people actively fantasize about, or worse, try and hook up with partners who are HIV positive. Many sites and forums have existed for this sole purpose of helping people find one another to catch and pass on diseases. One of the most prominent sites for bug chasing was a site called PauseConvert. Looking at the site now is rather difficult, as it has since been taken down, yet the site's front page is still available to see thanks to archived versions of the site. The homepage reads, "Where Pause and Neg men meet." PauseConvert is the only community designed exclusively for Pause men and their admirers. Reading the rest of the front page could potentially be in violation of YouTube guidelines. Rather than do that, we will take a look at just a few of the then active communities that we can get a glimpse of before the site was removed. Georgia, Pause. Chicago full-blown AIDS gifters for spreading, STD pigs, and verbal gifting were all communities that existed on this site. In 2015, a user on Reddit named AMA Pause would make a post on r/AMA, Ask Me Anything, about bug chasing and his own experience with the fetish. He said, "I am a bug chaser. HIV turns me on. Ask me anything." So I was reading a recent post, and people had lots of questions about the subject. I decided to do an AMA. As a disclaimer, everything I do is consensual. I am not a gifter, someone who purposefully infects people, but I can answer any questions about them. The post would get questions from people genuinely curious about the fetish, and would get comments from those who outright condemned it. One user said, "Do the people you have sex with know you're a bug chaser?" AMA Pause would respond with, "I'm always upfront about my status/meds. they are into it, I'll let them know I am too. I pretty much stick with people that are understanding or in that scene. Another user would ask, how many bugs have you caught? I have just HIV, undetectable. Why are you interested in catching diseases? Well, it developed as doing something dangerous like skydiving or base jumping, and that risk turned me on. What bugs do you have and what do you want to get? I have HIV, but I fantasize about other things. While it does turn me on, I want to live my life normally, so I'm actively trying not to get anything. So, did you actively try to get HIV, or did you get it accidentally? I wanted it, but I actually ended up getting it from an ex. As mentioned before, then you get to the more negative comments in the thread. Your fetish is nothing more than a slap to the face to all those who died from HIV. All those people who suffered with no cure, no hope, and no one to listen. I hope you enjoy it on your deathbed, and I hope you think about those who died miserably, to give you the pleasure to do this. Why are you so gross? You're a fucking idiot. I'm usually all for people doing whatever they want as long as it doesn't harm others, but my god, this is stupid. AMA Pause would shortly stop responding to questions in this thread, likely due to the amount of negative comments they received. All this does bring up very interesting questions about the fetish. Why partake in something that will likely take your life? Why bug chasing of all things? Where do these fetishes originate? And possibly the darkest question of all, how many lives have been lost due to bug chasing, whether it be consensual or not? The old adage of a picture says 1,000 words is one that may seem corny, yet it is certainly true. Over the years, many photos have been discovered that leave us in a state of shock and make you ask a myriad of questions. In June of 2020, a now deleted Reddit user posted to r/RBI, "Any idea what's happening in this photo? Someone in my mom's group I am in on Facebook said someone she knows found this in a book bought at Goodwill. She claims to have given it to police. My first thought was it was probably from a movie, but I can't find anything on 10i. Thoughts?" This is the photo in question. The user continues, "Looks like a guy face down in the water on the left, with his feet bound, and on the right a guy with his knees tied up to his body. Also the shadow looks like a guy holding a gun." This post would set a firestorm on the subreddit, with many people chiming in on the photo, theorizing on what exactly the photo was of. User Captain E0 would take the photo in question and do multiple edits to clean up the quality of the picture, as well as add further details to the image. I tried sharpening and color correcting it a bit. Don't know if anyone can glean any more info from it though. Captain E0 would continue to update the thread with their findings. Edit. The restraints look almost like a zip tie. The way the white line sticks straight out. Rope/tape wouldn't do that, right? I straightened out the shadow. OP, you should ask the original poster of the image to scan it, or take a picture without the light glare. This is going to drive me crazy, LOL. Others discuss details of the photo, such as the man on the right seemingly having duct tape placed over his mouth, as well as what seems to be a trash bag placed over the head of the guy on the left. Some even mentioned that they believed to be a person in a mask looming over the person on the left as well. How and why did it end up in a seemingly empty photo book at a random Goodwill? Is this from a film, or is it real? Some suggested it was a behind-the-scenes photo from Deliverance, but no one provided any concrete evidence of this being the case. Theories of fraternity hazing were brought up as well, but every single theory brought users back to where everything started. Step 1 of analyzing the picture. User Groundbreaking Bad added, "This missing person from Alabama looks a bit like the guy sitting up. The guy went missing in 1977 and worked for Otis Engineering. Could explain the work style uniform. His work truck was found wrecked in Texas, with someone else inside. The missing person they linked to the photo was Christopher Noel Lorette, a 27-year-old man who was in Brewton, Escambia County, Alabama, for work, but was originally from New Orleans. He was described as standing at 5'10", weighing 160 pounds, had dark blonde hair, and brown eyes. He was reported missing on August 19, 1977, and to this day he has not been found, alive or dead." Is the person in this photo Christopher? Much like other leads, the theory is where the story ended. The story of this photo ends there for now, as not many updates have been provided since its original publication. Whether it was as harmless as a photo from a film set, or as sinister as the double homicide of two people in a creek bed, the origins of the photograph will remain a mystery unless you have any information about its origins. If you have any information on the whereabouts of Christopher Lorette, please contact 225-925-6006. Your information could be crucial to his family as they continue to seek answers and hopefully eventual closure. Unsolved disappearances are unfortunately not as rare as you'd prefer to believe they are. Nearly every day people go missing without a trace, some to be found and others to never be seen again. The story of Trevaline Evans is one that, as of now, seems to have been the latter of the two. Yet her case is far from the norm, as bizarre and disturbing connections have been made to it. Trevaline Evans was a 52-year-old grandmother living with her husband in Llangollen, North Wales, but the two had recently moved to their holiday home in Rhuddlan, which is within an hour of their former home. Yet Llangollen was where she was born and raised, and Trevaline and her husband, Richard, had recently opened a store there called Attic Antiques. Being a lifelong collector, opening an antique shop was a dream job of sorts for Trevaline, as she often bought antiques and resold them to residents of her hometown. In early June of 1990, the couple were working hard on their holiday bungalow to make it as accommodating to themselves as possible. Richard remembers his wife being very happy and excited about the progress they were making, and that coming Wednesday and Thursday, the two were to return to the store in Llangollen. On Thursday, June 14, 1990, Trevaline was working at the antique shop and was spotted by a passerby talking to two men outside of the store. The following day, witnesses saw one of the men from the previous day, dressed in a navy blue suit, outside talking with Trevaline once again. Later that evening, a witness described her searching for someone by consistently walking back and forth from the store's front and looking onward into the streets. On June 16th, the store opened like it usually did, and according to customers who had been in the store that day, it was like any other day there. Yet around 12:30 p.m., Trevaline would leave the shop and place a handmade note on the door, reading, "Back in 2 minutes." The last time she would be seen was at 2:30 p.m. that day, as she was walking near her home on Market Street. She would never be seen again. Soon after, police began searching extensively for Trevaline. Over 1,500 names and 700 cars were checked with no leads. Trevaline's bank never detected any suspicious activity or suspicious transactions. Nothing. In the years since her disappearance, just about nothing has been discovered about what happened to her. Nobody was discovered. No one in her family was contacted by her. She seemingly vanished without a trace. The case was reopened twice in 2001 and 2011, but yet again, nothing came of it. There's been reported sightings of her in Australia, as well as England, but nothing reported was ever concrete enough to thoroughly investigate. Police suggested a theory that she could have possibly been a victim of serial killer Robin Ligas. Yet once again, there was not much to go off of. Police would eventually rule out Robin as being a suspect of Trevaline's disappearance, and even if he was who took her life, he died in 2022, taking any potential secrets to the grave with him. The strangest thing about this case, however, would be the mysterious plaques that began appearing in reference to Trevaline's disappearance. In 2021, the first plaque was discovered on a bench in a Preston Deserth walkway. It read, "In memory of Trevaline Evans, vanished June 16, 1990, found in Rhuddlan Golf Club, March 14, 2019, R.I.P." It would later be removed by the Denbighshire County Council. Yet in 2022, another plaque was discovered at a 200-year-old mining college named Pentyfocwan. It read, "Justice awaits those responsible for the removal and disposal of Trevaline Evans, in this life or the next." For from Rudland Golf Club on March 19, 2019, at noon. May the Lord have mercy upon their soul. It is currently unknown what these plaques mean or who made them. They both are rather cryptic in nature, and much like Trevaline's disappearance, remain a mystery in their own right. What happened to Trevaline Evans? Was she kidnapped? Was she murdered? Did she want to start a new life? Or did she unfortunately seek to end the one she had? All these questions have yet to be answered. However, someone out there has to know something. If you know something about Trevaline's disappearance, then please contact UK Crime Stoppers at 0800-555-111, or you can go to their website at crimestoppersuk.org to submit an anonymous tip about her whereabouts. Now, for clarification with this entry, I will be treading lightly, as there is a ton of sensitive information involved here. There are names brought up in photos and clips that I cannot show here in this video, as it will likely result in a possible strike from YouTube. The original channel will be linked in the description below, but as a fair warning, the content on this channel is highly disturbing. In April of 2015, a channel was created named Jimmy's Wish. As of now, the channel has 7 uploads, and the content displayed in each of them is extremely distressing. The first upload is titled, Caught on Tape, Horrifying Atrocity on an 11-year-old American Child in Japan Condoned. The video itself shows the young boy lying in a hospital bed with a feeding tube inserted into his nose. The child is breathing, but is unable to communicate with his father, as he is in a coma. Though already heartbreaking in what is shown to us, it becomes obvious that there is something else going on here, as text continues to appear on screen in kanji. The video's description seems to be what is said throughout, just translated to English. The description reads the following: Signed petition to demand Congress save Jimmy. Because of years of cruel, willful negligence, Jimmy, now 18 years old, weighs less than 23 kilograms, 50 pounds, which is less than the Holocaust's Auschwitz survivors. He suffers from rickets, hips, and shoulders are fractured and horribly deformed. He is only 4 feet tall. Father was 6'3" at age 18, caused by intentionally severe malnutrition, depriving a child minimum calories required to maintain vital organ functions for growth. Deprived access to sunshine, vitamin D deficiency, and years of repeatedly denying the pleading from the child's parent to increase calories from a very low 800 calories per day and life-saving medical intervention. Jimmy's ribcage is collapsing into his heart and lungs, and because of the disgusting neglect from August 15th, he suffers from a rare, life-threatening superior mesenteric artery, SMA syndrome, retroperitoneal, and visceral mesenteric fat. Jimmy has not eaten since August 15th and receives calories from his neck artery, which is dangerous. His life could be at risk because he is not strong enough yet for emergency surgery. We have hours of tape-recorded evidence, but here we clearly establish with irrefutable evidence that the Japanese military doctors are unconscionable liars. In less than 20 minutes, here they are caught lying 23 times, more than a lie a minute to cover up the suffocation of an 11-year-old child. What is horrifying is the U.S. Embassy, attaché staff, media, FCCJ also, and police all have the irrefutable tape recorded evidence of heinous suffocation crimes on an 11-year-old American child, and condone horrific crimes on children. My wife and I are pleading for your help in bringing transparency to the horrific crimes that are condoned in Japan by widespread corruption. I have tape-recorded evidence of hours of evidence to prove these heinous crimes are condoned in Japan against the American child. FCCJ members are also extremely cruel and know our pleas for help as Jimmy is running out of time and dying. Our son Jimmy is dying, been denied his human rights and access to the media or courts in Japan, and urgently need the Congress to compel Japan to allow transparency, international investigation, and force the hospital to increase his calories and life-saving surgery. When our son Jimmy was only 11 years old, he was suffocated with a plastic bag placed over his head until his brain severely damaged. Left in a vegetative state independent of life support system to stay alive. The Japan military doctors had no informed consent or medical reason to put a plastic bag over a child's head until brain death, and only admitted to the plastic bag suffocation because my wife and an outside surgeon had asked why Jimmy had a red mark around his neck. We have tape-recorded evidence of one doctor who suffocated our child, who then abandoned our child to die, who then withheld therapy, who then conspired to cover up the crime and deny any involvement or knowledge of what happened to Jimmy, as they first insinuated, unconscionable liars, that father may have been the cause of Jimmy's brain damage. Was the very same doctor calling another hospital doctor 2 days before his condoned crime to conspire with him to report father for neglect to Child Protection Agency. Why? Evidence also shows a staff member from the Child Protection Agency was at the hospital just after the suffocation of our child, after hours, and withheld, did not contact parents to inform us that our child was dying from plastic bag suffocation. Why was he at the hospital after hours? Why are serious crimes and neglect condoned in Japan against American children? Horrific fact. Without international transparency, Jimmy could be suffocated to death with a plastic bag over his head, without informed consent or medical reason. The U.S. Embassy, media, FCCJ also, and police will not investigate. Why? Dehumanization campaign against child's family begin 2 months or suffocation crime. Why Jimmy? 4 days before Jimmy was suffocated, I announced at a board meeting I was going to report to police leading scientists, a bureaucrat, and executives from stem cell company, all Kobe-based, were all involved in fraud. We have email evidence from a bureaucrat on the 26th, 2 days before Jimmy tortured, engaged in government coercion, warning us not to report the fraud to police. To conspire to cover up fraud is a serious criminal act, and for a Kobe bureaucrat to coerce us and to cover up fraud, threaten my wife over phone reporting fraud, would become a problem for our son. No police or press investigate. Fact is, all crimes condoned in Japan in spite of irrefutable recorded and email evidence. What is said here is essentially what the other videos on the channel have to say about what has happened to Jimmy. Unfortunately, the only real change is Jimmy's age, as the video was posted in 2015, and the latest being in 2021. It is easy to see as why the claims being presented here are false. Not in the sense that it's just outright lies, but the channel's owner, assumingly Jimmy's father, could potentially have some mental health problems. As to why he believes that a member of the Japanese military is really trying to take his son's life, or just let it happen, is unclear. He claims that he has information on bureaucratic officials being involved in fraud, but hasn't posted anything in that regard that shows any proof of this, or his son being attacked and nearly suffocated by a member of the Japanese military. If any of the claims made in these videos are in fact true, then this channel has to be one of the darkest in YouTube's history. However, it goes without saying that the situation Jimmy is in is particularly horrific. Being essentially brain dead, going in and out of high fevers and cardiac arrest is beyond horrible. The state that he is in is beyond heartbreaking, and seeing a full recovery would be a miracle, as it seems like this will inevitably be his future until the eventual day he passes. My thoughts are with Jimmy and his family as they continue to battle with this tragic situation, and hopefully one day something will come out of this that is positive rather than negative. Today we explored a dangerous fetish, a mysterious photograph, a bizarre and tragic disappearance, and an extremely disturbing YouTube channel. They are merely a few stories from our very real and disturbing world. This is just volume 1 of what will eventually be an ongoing series to investigate and deep dive disturbing stories from the world we live in. If you would like a volume 2, please let us know in the comments section down below. And most importantly, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.